Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Back J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number 1 in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
Welcome everyone to Tiger Claw Radio. It's your host, Critical Failure. I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. I know I sure did. I'm very tired. I have a heck of a van cast for you, but only one, and we got some awesome tunes we're going to play, and some video games to discuss, and a whole lot more. So with that, let's kick things off with our first tune. Something from the archives. Let's just see what we can come up with. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. played many times here on Tiger Claw Radio. That's JAR, J-A-A-R, with Bucket Boy. I got that track off of chiptunes.org. It was before I found Battle of the Bits. I think I only was able to find 2 tracks from JAR. And back when I found that, those were played quite regularly here on TCR. But it's been a while, so I think it's okay, right? It's okay. But I love that track. It's a good solid go-to. And speaking of go-tos, we're gonna go to the van. First, we got the van cast, and then we're gonna do what's on the desk. We're gonna have some fun. Stick with us. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Morning, everybody. Time for the van cast. It is Friday morning, December 27th. Hope you guys had an awesome Christmas. I sure did. It was great. Got the family together. My wife engineered pretty much the entire thing Christmas morning. That was 90% her doing. I had my own little rig, but she meticulously figured out everything the kids were going to open and all that stuff. Cookies were made. It was pretty great. The young children, I think, had a good time. Give me a second here. I need to put on a defroster. I can't see. We'll put on a defroster and we'll calm down the windshield wipers. Keep them on, just maybe not quite as fast. All right. And down the road we go. So this is December 27th, we said? Is that what it was? And I have to look at the calendar, but not much left to go before MagFest. MagFest is like the second it starts next week. This is Friday. This is Friday morning. By the way, 39 degrees outside, 6:23. Nice, dark December morning, late December morning here in 2019. Last couple days of the decade. You guys put much stock in that? New year, new me. It's going to be a new me. I'm changing my name to Balombo. I don't know, man. I can't knock it too hard. New Year's resolutions are always a good thing, I guess. If you stick to them, use them to make yourself better. I know I did that in 2018. Lost a bunch of weight that way, kept it off. Feeling good. So I can't knock it too hard. But I also like to try and keep things in perspective, you know? Alright, hang on a second. I gotta do that move where you drop the window down and then you pick it back up again to try and get the stuff off. Alright, we're in good shape. So I'm off to the office. Gonna take a quick stop here at the grocery store in just a minute. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. So let's talk some video games. The Steam winter sale is on. What did I get? Did I get anything? I got a number of games. I got a few things. The big notable ones was I bought the SNK collection this morning. I bought that this morning before I left the house. And I sat down and played some Ikari Warriors, the first one, which is pretty cool. I remember playing Ikari Warriors 2 on the NES more than anything else. I don't think I ever played the first one. So I sat down and played Ikari Warriors for the first time this morning. It's got the arcade version and the console version, so I played what I believe to be the NES game. And that was pretty cool, because it had... The SNK collection has a rewind function, which is like a live rewind, which is nice, because that game has got a million cheap deaths. So you can just rewind a little bit and keep playing. So that was kind of a fun way to spend the morning, playing Ikari Warriors on the SNK collection on Steam. But the big one that I picked up a couple days back was the Resident Evil 2 remake. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But right now I'm going to head into the grocery store. Be right back. Back again from the grocery store. It occurs to me, I gotta clean this car out before Meg this. I got Durabka coming in and Hemrock coming in at the airport the same day. And it kind of smells like old pizza in this car. I feel like I'm gonna have to take steps to take care of that tonight back home. But that's not a problem. We will do what we have to do. We'll get it all sorted out. Alright, off to the office. So let's see. Got some hot tea. Got some more red rose hot tea, the black tea stuff. Got some bananas. Not too many because I'm only going to be in the office for one day. And here we go. So when we left off, I was getting ready to talk about Resident Evil 2 Remake. Which I purchased for I bought the complete, like the deluxe edition that comes with the DLC. So it was like $22, but you could get it for $19. You didn't have to, whatever, all the stuff. I got all the fixins. So let's talk about how it ran. I had to dumb the graphics down pretty hard. It's still playable. I'm still having fun with it, but the graphics took quite a hit. It doesn't look as good as Resident Evil 6 did because I had to dumb the graphics down further, to make it work. So that kind of sucks. And then also, I've got occasional graphical problems. There's a cutscene towards the beginning where playing as Leon and Claire is like locked out and there's a gate between you two. And they're sharing a moment where it's like, come on, let's get through this. Don't give up. We're going to find a way out. Everything's going to be okay. They're having a moment in the video game, right? And the visuals held. There was like a big lag, performance spike, hiccup. CPU couldn't handle it. Something was wrong. Couldn't quite handle the graphics. So the graphics froze and the audio kept playing. So the audio and the video went way out of sync by like 2 or 3 seconds. And it's pretty bad. But apart from that, it's largely playable. Let's see. I put about an hour into it, and then I restarted my game and put another 4 hours into it, or 3 hours into it, for 4 hours total. Hang on a second. And the reason I did that was because I made a few like key mistakes in that first hour figuring out how the game worked. So one of the things that Resident Evil 2, the remake, has in it that I think is interesting is when you walk down certain hallways, when you're in the police station, there's windows that are smashed open. And if a window is smashed open, then the zombies can kind of pour out of it, and you can't ever really clear that hallway because there's a window open that's exposed. So when you're going around the area, you can find boards and nails. And the idea is if you find a board and nail, you can use it to barricade a window. So like there's one hallway where there's 2 of these windows open. And if you don't do anything about it, then zombies are going to keep pouring through that hallway. And every time you have to go left and right through that hallway, you're going to have to deal with a new set of monsters. So I went around a lot of hallways and dealt with a lot of zombies before I figured out about the board and the nail barricading the open windows. So I was just like, you know what, man? I'm starting over. Forget this. There's a lot of combination locks in that game. A lot of them. So when you sit down to play Resident Evil 2, the remake, make sure you have a pen and paper handy because you will need it. What else? But it's been fun. There's a lot of combination locks, but they're straight combinations, right? Here's the safe. It's got a set combination. Every time you play,
that's what it's going to be. There's a similar mechanic in Resident Evil 7 where there's a combination for something somewhere, but they have it made so that that combination is different every time you play. So you have to go through the process of learning what the combination is. You can't just look on a walkthrough and figure out what it's going to be, because it's, again, different every time you play. They didn't do that in this game, thankfully. So if you decide to just throw your hands up and say, all right, I'm going to get all the combinations for the safes. There's way too many of these ridiculous combination locks. This part of the game is not fun at all. You can just tap out and it's fine. Tap out, use the walkthrough, no big deal. It's Resident Evil. There's plenty of zombies to shoot. There's plenty of objects to push. A lot of finding this object to fit inside that object to open this door. A lot of that. And it's been good. I've been enjoying it. I just left the first area. Well, that's the last thing I did. Start out in the police station. You move from the police station to like an underground area. I just made that move. Excuse me. So if you're familiar with Resident Evil 2 at all, Mr. X has been the thing everybody's talking about. He has not shown up yet for me. The old Resident Evil 2 from when we were kids, I beat that once before, but I beat Resident Evil 2 with NG in the room. Now, NG could one-shot Resident Evil 2 consistently, and he had the game memorized. You know, have you have any adventure games memorized? You know how much easier an adventure game is when you know exactly where the items are, and exactly what the order is you're supposed to get them at? It becomes a lot easier. So, I did technically beat the original Resident Evil 2, but I did so with NG in the room going, look, you gotta go here. No. You gotta go to this room, get that key. So, excuse me, I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I'm sure I could do it again, but it would come at a great difficulty. So I did beat the original Resident Evil 2. That did happen. But I only beat it once. I can't even remember who I used. I think I was using Claire. I only beat it one time. And originally, Resident Evil 2 was set up so that you had to beat it multiple times. You beat it once, and then you beat it a second time with the other person. And the second playthrough was the B game. Game A and Game B. And on Game B, that's when Mr. X shows up. It's the same game again, only now we're going to add this Nemesis character who is going to chase you from room to room. Not only is he going to chase you from room to room, but he's going to explode through walls. Here's a little refresher on the technology that was being used at the time. A lot of pre-rendered backgrounds in those early Resident Evil games, you know? So, to have Mr. X, explode through a wall that you thought was pre-rendered and thus never going to move was a bit of a trump card. You know, it was a bit of a little sneaky bit of programming. Something that as a player you would not expect. Especially a player in 1998 or 99, whenever that game came out. I think 99, right? I don't know. But, so my buddy NG and I played this. Now, NG was one of these guys growing up where he saw all the horror movies. Did you guys know that guy? There's one in every group, I think. We were young kids, and he knew all about, Nightmare on Elm Street and all that stuff. I didn't know any of that stuff, but he knew it all. He had seen it all, man. So oftentimes, he would play and get good at these early horror games. Excuse me. He would play and get good at these early horror games, and I didn't really have the stomach for him. I was fascinated, but I didn't really have the stomach to do well, when I was a youngster. And he did. So So he could play all these horror games that I couldn't quite play. And nothing really shook NG, but I distinctly remember him saying, Mr. X freaks me out every time. That was like his Achilles heel, Mr. X. So, I have not spoken to him yet about Resident Evil Remake. I wonder how he deals with the modern version of Mr. X. I'd be interested to see that. But anyway, long story short, the big change is that Mr. X apparently shows up first time through. He's now part of the... he's now embedded into the campaign. You play the game, there's Mr. X. He hasn't shown up yet. But I know it's coming. I know it's coming. And I'm looking forward to it, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I've been having a good time playing Resident Evil 2. It is extremely difficult. Whoa, man. Okay, so in Resident Evil 7, the pistol that you carried, it didn't really do much. For the majority of Resident Evil 7, you would carry a pistol, yes, but you couldn't just unload and stop the monster. I mean, you could, but you didn't have enough bullets to do that consistently. You would drop the monster, and then he'd come back to life a few minutes later, and then you'd be out of bullets. So primarily what you would use the pistol for is you would run, and if you got trapped, you could run towards the Nemesis-type monster, put like one bullet in his head, and that wouldn't drop him, but it would like stagger him back a little bit. And then while he was staggered back, you could run past him. So that's what the gun was in Resident Evil 7 for most of the game. It was like your distraction mechanism, right? Resident Evil 2 Remake seems to be the same way. The pistol is not going to get you through it. It just takes too many bullets to take down a zombie, and there's not enough bullets to go around. So it's more of a distraction mechanism, but not in all cases. There's some cases where you don't really have a choice, and it's kind of up to you to determine when that is. But I've had a couple of instances where I'm like dodging and weaving and dealing with the zombies, but I'm also supposed to be exploring the area and like picking up the items that I'm walking past. So I'll walk into like a room with no exit and be followed in by a couple of these zombies, these hardcore, like hard mode type zombies. And that's it, man. There's no way out. So I've had lights out at the hands of zombies a few times playing Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's pretty cool that the zombies have some danger to them. You know, you got it's not like how can I put it? What's a game where the zombies don't pose any threat at all? You know, when you see a zombie, that's a real danger. It's a real threat. So they did a good job preserving that threat in Resident Evil 2. Great game. Atmosphere is great. The voice acting is great. The gameplay is fun. It's funny that it's so incredibly hard, but there's a couple of things that they did that I think made it super easy on the other hand. For example, the original Resident Evil games, a lot of it was item location. You'd have to go find the special items and then bring them to their special sockets, right? So you had to explore, you know, and if you missed an item, then you were going to run into a dead end and you weren't going to be able to progress any further until you figured it out. Well, Resident Evil 2 Remake, you got a map, and on that map you can see not only each room, but each room will be red to indicate that you still need to explore that room more. And once it turns blue, that means you found everything important in that room and you can move on. So if you run into this dead end where it's like, I need an item and I don't know where that item is, and that's how I have to progress, you can just bring up the old map and then you can figure out, all right, well, we can rule out all the rooms that are blue because it says I've explored those already. I've got 2 rooms that are red. That's what I'm going to zero in on. Let's go there and we'll explore. That is like a huge equalizer. That's like in terms of forget about combat, forget about fighting the zombies. In terms about solving the problems, solving the puzzles, finding the items and moving on to the next room, that is like easy baby mode. You know? You ever play Maniac Mansion on the NES? If you missed an item in that game, brother, you weren't finishing that game. That was it. You were done. Angie and I, when we were kids, spent hours just scraping the house in Maniac Mansion, trying to find where's an item we didn't find. Maybe we have all the items and we just have to combine them some special way. That was it. Maniac Mansion would have been a million times easier if you had that. Then you could just zero in on the rooms that that had something left. But yeah, puzzle solving and item usage in Resident Evil 2 became easy baby mode. Easy baby mode topped with mega difficult combat and not enough resources to go around. So, all in all, been a fun game so far. Been a very fun game. Again, I got mine around $20, a little bit more because I opted for the version that had all the DLC. And I'm about 4 hours in, I think. And as of this moment, I would say Resident Evil 2 Remake absolutely is a buy. It's a buy. Get it. It's worth it. I'm trying to decide if I liked 2 or 7 better. The 7, which I played through last year, was a phenomenal game as well. Very different though. We'll have to see. My only complaint about Resident Evil 7 was that I got less time out of that game than some of the other Resident Evil games. It was only 10 hours or so. It was a good 10 hours, but it was only 10 hours. You guys know, if you've been listening to this for any length of time, I use a metric of dollars to hours to see if a game has been worth it, right? For example, I bought the SNK collection this morning. It was $15. I want to get 15 hours of play out of that. That's the goal. It's not a perfect metric, though. This is a problem that's been posed with this metric before by some people. That metric assumes a linear amount of quality in hours of gameplay, right? You know? And an hour of menu diving is not, in an old game, in a clunky game, is not better than 15 minutes of an awesome game. You know what I mean? Huh. I think Resident Evil 7 is the first example I can point to of a game that, yes, I got less than that time. It was $20 and I got 10 hours or so. But that 10 hours in quality was so good that I think it made up for it. It was so good. What a game Resident Evil 7 was. I'm hoping as I move on through Resident Evil 2 Remake that it will stack up. I can't wait. It's good stuff. Alright, so I think video game wise we might be all caught up. I played Ikari Warriors this morning. I've been playing Resident Evil 2. I got some other peripheral games. I like to buy my little tiny games. I got a game called IFO, which is a little shooter, a little shmup type game for Steam that kind of looks like a Game & Watch, but it looks like Game & Watching aesthetic only. You start playing it and it's like, oh, this is a cheap shoot 'em up. Okay, no problem. I got that for 60 cents or something. I like to get these little palate cleanser games. You know, you put a bunch of time into a Resident Evil game, just getting ready to shift gears and find another game you're going to sink your teeth into. I like to have a couple of quick play games to just go and enjoy. Also, they're good for my kids. My kids enjoy them. This was the first sale ever where my son had a game that he knew about that I didn't know about, and he was like, "This is the game I want," and we got it, and now he plays it and knows all about it. I don't even know what it's called. Something to do with balloons. Alex, Swingle, if you're listening, I know you know this game. You were telling me about it the other day. It's like a mobile game that was ported to Steam. Bloon something, I don't know. Bloon something 5 and Bloon something 6. A couple of $10 games that were discounted down to 99 cents. He was like, "That's what I want, man." So we got those games, and he's been playing them, and those are his games. It's pretty cool. So that's something we haven't experienced on Steam before. All right, give me a second here. We're going to go ahead and make the turn. Yeah, we did it. We did it, everybody. We're safe. How we doing? Okay, so I don't know. Oh, by the way, Battle of the Bits has a new compilation out, as they have been quite often recently. It's Cheese Dance Jr. That's right. It's the one that I submitted to. Didn't quite make the cut. But some awesome songs were created. A compilation was put together and released for free on Bandcamp. At least for free until the next one comes out. What I find interesting was there was about 40 entries to Cheese Dance Jr. and they only put 9 on the compilation, which is weird, because I think when they announced the winners, there was more than 9 in the winners category. I don't know. I really don't know how these compilations are being put together. But yeah, Cheese Dance Jr. It's out if you want to go get a copy of it. The theme for Cheese Dance Jr., the reason why they called it that, it's supposed to be very 90s. 90s techno with a lot of the weird voice samples that were popular in 90s music, 90s techno music. Oh. If you've ever made a game, or if you've ever played MTV's Music Generator for the PS1, that's Cheese Dance Jr. music. That's Cheese Dance music. That's the idea. They called it Junior because they did this contest once before, and then there you go. So if you like that kind of music, go get yourself a copy of the MP3s off of Bandcamp while it's still free. I think you can also I like the Bandcamp releases personally, because especially if you're going to wait into like a great big competition, you know, like when the Winter Tracks comes out, that's like 30-40 songs, something like that. So the Bandcamp one is good enough for me. But if you look up the listing directly on Battle of the Bits instead of going to Bandcamp, pretty sure as long as you're registered and logged in, there is an option to just download every submission in a zip file, and there you go. And that can be that, and then there's your Cheese Dance Jr. or your Winter Tracks or whatever. The reason I don't do that is because it's uncurated that way, so you're gonna get all the meme songs too. One of the things people do in these competitions is they use Mario Maker Composer. Do you guys remember, or Mario Paint Composer? Do you remember Mario Paint? How it had the music composer where it showed a staff and you would put little pictures on it for notes. That's right, that thing. People make songs in that and submit them as memes to the competition. They never make it to the compilations that come out at the end, but they're there, and you're gonna run into them if you get all the raw files, which is why I usually don't do it that way. But I thought I would mention that that's an option. Hey, it's an option. I can't imagine right now thinking, wow, you know what? I'm not getting enough new chiptunes. I need even more. Because lately, the past like 2 months have just been an explosion in chip releases. An absolute explosion, which has been really cool. It's been a lot of fun. What did you guys think of the new Anime Gucci album? Did you listen to that? Anime Managuchi is an important band for me, man. That was like one of the cornerstones that got me into chiptunes. Was Anime Managuchi. I had heard about, I'd been listening to Starship Amazing. Starship Amazing first used the term chiptune. I mean, like they were the first people I ever heard talk about it. So I went to figure out what it was. And then Hemrock, of all people, was like, get this Anime Managuchi album. I went over to 8-Bit Peoples to get it, this Power Supply, which is still free up there. And I was like, wow, all this music's free. And that was it. And then I downloaded like 100 albums that day and just deep dived into chiptunes. And that was how it started for me. It's probably like 2008, 2009, something like that. So yeah, Anime Managuchi was one of the cornerstone bands that got me into chiptunes. I'm not saying they started chiptunes. I'm just saying it was one of the ones that opened the door for me. You know what I mean? They kicked open the door and they got me into it. Similar to the way John Coltrane really kicked open the door for jazz for me. I bought A Love Supreme, his album A Love Supreme, on vinyl over Amazon because it was like $11 one day. I was like, yeah, we'll try this. And it was, opened up an entire genre. So Anime Managuchi, right? So they're really huge, and their last album was like 6 years ago. So this new one, I was pretty excited to see what they came up with. I gotta say, I'm not hooked. I think they did a lot more gimmick. They did way too much gimmick and not enough music. It's like all their music theory just went out the window. There's no catchiness. I can't stick with any of the songs. I've listened to this album, and I honestly, I can't remember any of the songs. That's a problem, boys and girls. Look, if you want to be abstract, that's fine, but I don't know. I can't help but feel this is going to be the album that stands out as like the black sheep of their catalog. Excuse me. Not what you'd expect from like a great return, which is what it was supposed to be. We haven't made an album in 6 years. This is going to be our great return. But I don't know. I wasn't thrilled. Maybe it's because so many more great chiptunes have come out in the last 6 years. I mean, they've got a sound that's highly duplicated, right? That distorted electric guitar lead in time with a chiptune lead played over top of each other. That's like the Anime Managuchi sound, and it's been duplicated and imitated quite a lot. So much so that I think at this point they are now an imitation of their own sound from the past. You know what I mean? It's not the first time I've heard that happen. The Descendants ran into that problem with their last release. You know who the Descendants are? Big pop punk band from the 1980s. They were the band that gets credited with engineering pop punk. Right? They had some former at least one former member of Black Flag. They played hardcore punk energy, but their songs are more about like girls and being nerdy and relatable stuff like that. And they got really they found the pop punk sound in the 80s, and then a lot of the pop punk that got popular in the 90s and 2000s were imitating the Descendants, right? They started something new. They discovered something new, and then they came out with an album like maybe 4 years ago, which was like the Descendants' return after being gone. Excuse me, after being gone for many years. And they made this album that sounds like a new band copying 1980s Descendants. It doesn't sound like the like what made them famous. It sounds more like dudes ripping off the Descendants rather than being the actual Descendants, if that makes sense. And that's where I see Anime Managuchi right now. So they're a good band. Hold on a second. They're a good band. I'm not saying they're untalented by any stretch of the imagination. But I thought they could have done better. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Did anybody listen to it? I haven't met anybody who's listened to it yet, except I think Hemrock checked out the the demo before the album came out when they released one song. All right, hang on a second. I think at this point I'd be more excited over a new Null Sleep album. I'd be more excited over a new Slime Girls album. I get more excited over the Chiptunes Equals Win annual release when that comes out. It's more dense, it's more varied, it's more catchy. It's got everything that you used to find in an Animated Gucci album. That's my little rant about them. Power Supply is still an awesome album, though. If you've never heard Power Supply, oh my gosh, it's only 5 songs. It's very short, right? It's a free album. I think I think there was only 3 people in the group then, and now there's 4. So it's not exactly the same lineup. But that came out, 2008 or 2007? Maybe 2007. Because I discovered it in 2009, and it was already old by then. Man, that was... If you've ever heard a piece of music that just sends a shockwave... Where I remember I couldn't sleep because I was so excited about this album that I had just downloaded and listened to on my cheap MP3 player in my car. Very few albums I can say have left that kind of mark, but Power Supply is one of them. That would be a cool album to get on vinyl. It wouldn't fill an entire record, though. It'd probably be like a 10-inch or something. What a good album, though. All right. Wow, 36 minutes. I'm sorry. I hope this isn't too rambly. It's been busy, though. A lot of stuff's happened. We had Christmas, and new games to discuss. It's been pretty cool. So, with that, I'm going to send you guys back to the studio because I'm in my parking spot at work now. It's another one of these days where I talk the whole way. And with that, I'll see you guys back in the studio. Have a good one.
Back again in the studio, everybody. Felt it at the end. I was like, I don't know how to quite do the sign off without making it sound weird. So you know what? We just went weird. It's okay. So yes, back in the studio. We are 43 minutes in, and this is coming late because of the Vancast. So I only have the one this week, so I felt like I had a license to go a little long. I do want to take a quick minute before we head over to On the Desk to thank the sponsors. This is a Patreon-sponsored program. These guys they're the recent TCRs still around. They give their resources, and it's just a few people. I like to say thanks by giving them early access to the show. Whenever it gets done, I put it up, and they get a copy of it. And I also read their names off in a hall of distinguished gentlemen. They are Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, Konstantin Kelman, and Balzac. Thank you guys very, very much. And with that, let's do some On the Desk. Okay, so you guys know how this works. I got passed over for, I tell the story all the time, got passed over for a sponsorship. They wanted me to talk about games more, actual physical games, so this was my excuse to do so. Not reviews, it's just whatever I happen to have and whatever discussion that may bring about. So let's see what we have on the desk today. All right. First one's probably the one you guys will like the most. New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Okay, it came in a red Wii case. This is my kid's choice game on the Wii. Is New Super Mario Bros. Wii. They like the side scroller. They don't care too much for the 3D games. I've shown the Mario 3D at its finest. Mario 64, Mario Galaxy. Those didn't quite stick as well as New Super Mario Bros. Wii did. It's a fun game. They really dig it. So that's always out. That's one that no matter what games get put away, that game's always out because it's actually getting played. And then my interest on the Wii was Guilty Gear XX Core, which I also have out. What is it? Guilty Gear XX Access Ace? Accent Core, excuse me. Yeah. I got this for $6.99 when they were dumping Wii games at GameStop. I like the Guilty Gear games a lot. And I wanted to play it, but when I got it out, I ran out of time. So didn't get played much. Those are just the 2 Wii games that I have out here and ready to go. So 2 quick ones left. And this is where my console time has actually been going. I was sitting in my office, and I had my son was on my computer, so like the computer was busy, and my daughter was doing something on my laptop, so that was tied up too. So I had some time to play on my TV. This is the TV that has all my retro consoles attached to it, and it was set up to play Xbox games, original Xbox games. I have most of my systems set up, but it uses a switch box, so they're not all really set up at once. You got to use a switch box to go between them. So Xbox was what it was. So I thought I've got some Xbox games, some original Xbox games that I got from like a used bookstore with Hemrock the last time he was in town. Let's take a look and see what I haven't played yet. So I got out some snowboarding games. First one I got out was a game called Amped, which I have here. Amped Freestyle Snowboarding for the original Xbox. It has a tag price of, somebody bought this from GameStop for $2.99, but it has a tag price of $2. That's what I actually paid for it. And unfortunately, I couldn't get it to work. Tried it a couple of times, it wouldn't boot up. So I need to clean it. The disc's in rough shape. It might work yet, but Amped Snowboarding didn't work. So I went to Dark Summit, which actually did work, was incredibly ridiculous, and I actually had a lot of fun with. Dark Summit is another snowboarding game, but it has sort of like a spy thriller plot to it. You're not just snowboarding to do tricks and acquire points. No. You're snowboarding to stop, the evil empire from, I don't know, shutting down all the snowboarders or something. I don't know. Ridiculous. Dark Summit. I actually got a couple hours out of this game, and it was pretty fun. Hadn't played any snowboarding games in a very long time. When I was a kid, junior high school years, that sort of age, I really liked Cool Borders 3. I really liked that game a lot, so I think thinking about Cool Borders 3 made me want to play some snowboarding games. So that's what's on the desk, that little stack of disc-based games. And with that, boys and girls, it's time to head over to the fail bag. Let's see what we got here. First one's from my good buddy Hemrock, who writes, I love this. This fail bag mini edition. It's still got like 5 paragraphs. Thank you very much, Hemrock. I appreciate it. Let's get to the email and see what he's got. Greetings and salutations, Critical Failure. Thank you, as usual, for another episode. I got a few things to share. Number 1, let all the nerds collectively rejoice. It took nearly a year, but I've received the retro junk box. Woo! It was sent on the 22nd of February 2019, and I found it at my house on Christmas. I still have yet to open it. Hopefully... Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I apologize. I'll find the time to make a post on the forums. Number 2, I misspoke in my last email in regards to last year's MagFest. The concert I enjoyed the most was not the one from Galgox, but the one from Glowmag. CF, that was the one you and I went to at a small jam space one evening. It was much better than that one concert in the big music hall we attended. Alright, quick break from the email. Yeah, man, Glowmag was pretty sweet. As a matter of fact, I went back and watched that whole set again, because somebody recorded the whole thing. I think it's like Geekspin Radio or Geek Radio, Geekbox Radio, something like that. That whole set, it was really short, and you can watch it on YouTube. It was really good. But let's get back to the email and see what else he's got. MagFest 2020 is only 3 working days away as of the writing of this email. I'm super stoked. Have you checked out the schedule yet? Anything pique your interest? No, you know what, dude? I haven't checked out the schedule very much because I've been crazy busy here. but I want to check out the schedule. I want to. Number 4, he says, you may have already mentioned this on TCR, but did you pick up any more games during the last few days of the GOG and Steam sales? Also, that reminds me, did you ever buy games at full price? I almost never do. When was the last time you bought a game at full price? Take care and keep rolling retro. Okay, last 2 games I bought was the SNK bundle, which I talked about in the Vancast, and I also bought, when I got home, I did the last couple of missions in the sale. The sale had missions where it was like use a sticker, chat with somebody, use all the Steam features, and you would acquire points. And then I also got points from actually making purchases. So I had enough points to get a $5 coupon. So I took that $5 coupon and I bought Fallout 4, which was I bought on a recommendation from you guys. So I bought Fallout 4 just before I left, or just as soon as I got home from work, and I've been busy ever since. So I haven't had a chance to play it. Yeah, and yeah, so that's pretty cool. It was like what, like $3 or something like that. I think it was $8 with the discount, and then a $5 coupon. So I'm pretty happy about that. As for games with full price, I could see buying a game full price if it's a game I'm super excited about and it just came out. Like, I think I might have paid full price for the Blood port that came out this past year. Blood, you know, the old PC game, the build engine game, that was freshly ported to Steam with working multiplayer. And I got that as soon as it came out because I knew that the multiplayer wasn't going to last, right? It still works, but you have to have a friend now and set it up. Whereas the day it came out or the week it came out, you could just get on and play with people. So I bought Blood for full price. And I also bought, there was another game I'd bought for the same reason. And it was an RPG. The name escapes me right now. Neverwinter Nights. That was the game. I also got that $20 as soon as it came out. Super expensive games, though. I just can't do it. It ain't me, man. It ain't me, babe. Ain't happening. I pondered getting games from GOG at full price on various occasions because their prices are always really low anyway. I came pretty close to getting Diablo when that came out. When GOG got their hands on the original Diablo and also Warcraft 2. Those are both games that I really enjoyed and would have paid full price for. I got turned off to it with this whole like Hong Kong Blizzard business. It's just the whole thing just smelled too bad and turned me off to it in a big way. But I think that's about it. So I can't say I never buy things full price. It happens on occasion, but these are low cost games to begin with. You know, not big money. It's a different thing. And that's it for that email. Thanks much, Hemrock. I appreciate those. We got a lot of good content off them, so I appreciate that. All right, we are off to the YouTube channel to see what kind of comments we've got this past week. Now, I've been trying here to get the old studio open, YouTube Studio, where the comments live. This is where the comments live. And let's see how this went. So if I go to comments here. All right, we got, we'll drop back a couple. Yeah, okay. Desm101 writes, Merry Christmas, CF. Hope you and your fam have a nice holiday. And he throws in a time signature. No, I don't have a Netlink. Haha. I'm like the least online gamer. I still need to break my online gaming cherry. Oh, gross. But I do have to admit, playing Netlink multiplayer Duke 3D on Saturn sounds super awesome. Doesn't it, though, man? That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I had a good Christmas, man. I hope you did as well. Mega Menace writes, "Let's go surfing now." That's right, man. What's on my desk? He writes, "Ooh, we got a doozy. Motocross Maniacs Advance for GBA. A good loading bar game since I can power through 3 circuits in under 2 minutes and have a blast. Duke Nukem for Game Boy Color. Is that what ENH means? I got it in a lot, so I figured I'd play through it before selling it to someone who wants everything with Duke space on it. The story stuff is cool, but the level design, animations, and enemies blow chunks. It uses a save feature. I would have loved saving on carts back in the day, and I still do like the convenience. Battery saving is more like a harbinger of the game's eventual demise. If the battery gives out, the saves are gone. If the battery leaks, the game is gone. I have no idea where I can buy super cheap, reliable batteries like those manufacturers used to 20, 30 years ago that are still going strong. I have carts from 1988 that still juice their saves with a battery over 3 decades old. That's reliable. All right, quick break from the email. That's what I got to do. I'm glad you brought this up because I think I mentioned this like last week or a couple weeks ago, but I've been working with a soldering iron doing my synthesizer stuff. Since I'm getting comfortable with a soldering iron, now it's time to change the battery in my Zelda. Can't be that hard. I know people do it easily. I'm not too worried about a cheap battery, or I'm willing to pay good money for a good solid battery. Yeah, I've had a copy of the original, The Legend of Zelda for NES forever. I've had it forever, but the save feature has always been broken, which sucks real bad. So I think it's just about time to get that fixed. Let's get back to the email. 49 minutes-ish. Speaking of Castle Wolfenstein and Beyond Castle Wolfenstein, that is a video game franchise that could work on the big screen. I'm talking about Hollywood, silver screen, the glam, the glitz. What is glitz? It'd be brilliant. It's more than just another soldier in over his head. It's a bunch of no-good Nazis. Has all the occult stuff, too. I guess that movie last year touched on this. Overlord. It was fun to watch. Imagine a Wolfenstein film with a Robo-Hitler brandishing dual chain guns, or Hero wrestling plasma arcs from his prototype rifle, Poltergeist, and other weird stuff that the later games threw in for spice. Yeah, my only complaint, the only problem is that we had a Wolfenstein movie. It was called Wolfenstein 2. Oh, so funny. Oh, with the jokes. Yeah, I agree. That could work. That could work. Especially since we've had those newer Wolfenstein games that seem to do cinematic very well. Now I think they have more to work with that you could build a movie around. But yeah, I'd watch that. It's one of those things where it's like the Doom movie. They've made several movies about Doom, and it's like, how could you mess this up? All you need... Who was it? I think it was Alpha Omega Sin who worded it this way. He was like, just have a guy who's holding a gun the size of a water heater with big muscles. And then a lot of red stuff. That's all you need. So I like the idea of a guy with a gun the size of a water heater. A big old, 80-gallon tank up on your shoulder. Here we go, guys. You don't have to check a whole lot of boxes for it to fit it as Doom, right? I think the same goes true with Wolfenstein. It's really just a shooting game. You got to have BJ in there somewhere. You got to have Nazis, and you got to have Mecha Hitler. Those are the boxes I'd like to see checked. I think everything else is completely up to the filmmakers. It's not like Resident Evil where they strayed too far and it was really weird and bizarre. They could do that with this because the games are all different. I don't know. You got something there. Let's get back to the comments. See what else he says. What I love about the QFG games is that they have a fantastic world to set up while they use a text parser. He's talking about Quest for Glory. That's what QFG is. Quest for Glory has real-time combat controls using the mouse and keyboard. You can also choose different roles at the start of the game, fighter, thief, or wizard, which set you on a different story path and allow you to solve puzzles in different ways. For instance, if you choose a fighter, there were parts of the game where you might never see since you didn't choose a thief. However, I usually played the system and allocated magic points to my fighter at the start so that I could use magic during the game. Yeah, I gotta play Quest for Glory, man. Gotta play that. You mentioned that last time, and I feel like I might have missed out because I kind of expended all the money that I could on Steam games. But I am going to see Quest for Glory. It's in my library. How? I have it on Steam. When did this happen? Yeah, we gotta at least run this. Give me a second. I gotta do this now, otherwise it's not gonna get done. Quest for Glory. Quest for Glory collection. Sure enough, there it is. Install. And it's installing, so hopefully I can try it when we're done recording tonight. Mechamenace, my man. Always good to hear from you, brother. Oh, he also writes in, what did you use to extend the legs? This is for the, oh, you know what? I should actually respond to that directly, but, oh well, I'll mention it here. It's it's the metal from the resistors. I put the resistors through the slot, and then each resistor has like 1.5 inches of extra metal that sticks out. And then once you solder it on, you can clip off the legs, and then those legs are what I ended up using. I soldered them onto the buttons. It works really well, but it was really hokey. I was not expecting something like that, but that's what it said to do, and it did work. So yeah, the legs of the resistors. That's what I used. Julia writes, music is a very competitive thing to be into, but if you love music and you love to make it, keep at it. The more time you put in, the more progress you'll make. The point where you give up is the point of failure. The rest is just a learning experience. I thought that song was legitimately fire. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's, it is what it is. It's like playing, what's that game I used to play that always made me mad? Counter-Strike. Yes. You can't always have wins. You can't Yay! Press the button to win. No. Okay? Especially getting involved in contests. There's something, I think, important. There's an important lesson in seeing your sound put up against other people and then having to face the idea of, okay, there's something that you don't have that all of these other people have. And now you have to figure out what it is. It's amen. And it's just, it's a hard lesson. It really is. But it's an important one. So, yeah, I'm still having fun. So thank you very much for that. And I think that is all the comments. And we almost made it inside an hour this week. But yeah, we did it. Excuse me. Big thanks to Balzac for joining the supporters on Patreon. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And all the other Patreon sponsors who've stuck with me. Because, my goodness, this group of people, they really have stuck it out for the long haul. It is incredible what you guys have done. So thank you very much. And everybody else who spent time hanging out, time really is, and I think you'll find this out as you get older, the most valuable currency. So I value the time that you guys spend here hanging out, listening to some chiptunes, talking about video games, talking about whatever it is we talk about. Thanks very much. And as you head off into this next week, as you head off into this new decade, because that's going to come before we sit down and do TCR again, I really wish you guys all the best in the world, and I'll see you next week.